Welcome to the show. Welcome to the SmashPod, brought to you by SmashUp Fantasy Sports, the only next-gen fantasy sports game where you can choose your players, select your Smash cards, and dominate your opponents. I am Ming, aka Chef. I'm here with my guy Chris, aka Ock, and we're here to talk about sports, fantasy sports, pop culture, have a little fun, talk some trash. What's up, Chris? How's it going?
What's up, Ming? How you doing?
Doing good, man. You know, I was talking to some friends today, and I think I came up with a potentially new nickname for us.
What have you got?
The Super Smash Bros. We could be the Super Smash Bros, like the game.
I like which Smash brother are you?
Are you?
Not Yoshi?
It's a me.
Does that
It's
make
a me, a Ming.
Does that make me Wario? Am I like the evil Ming? Is that
Maybe. What's your best Wario?
I'm Wario. I don't actually know what he sounds like.
Just like that. Just like
that. Perfect.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
Okay. Super Smash Brothers in effect. I don't know. We'll see if that catches on. But we've got a great show today. We're going to talk about a few different things. The NFL draft just ended recently. Some exciting stuff happened there. It was in Detroit, but it's okay. We watched it anyways. There's some wide receiver drama happening in the NFL, especially with one of our favorite teams, the Niners. But I feel like the wide receiver drama is just getting more and more volatile each year. The divas are in full effect. So we're going to chat about what we think might happen there. We're also going to talk about our favorite. Well, we're going to get into our favorite segment, role players. I mean, I know we love role players, and I think you got a special one for us today, which should be interesting.
Oh, I do.
Yep. We're going to talk about also our favorite rom-coms. We love rom-coms. I freaking love rom-coms. I think you do too, but we'll talk about that, especially how athletes fit into potential rom-com situations. So that'll be interesting to chat through. And then we'll do a little bit of a quick take on the NBA. The playoffs are in full effect. There's some interesting things happening. There's some disappointment, especially in La La Land. That's okay. It's okay.
I'm so sad, Ming.
Wipe that frown off your face. I know you're sad about the Lakers losing. It's okay.
Devastated.
I know. It was just so sad to see them go down in a gentleman's sweep, but
Flames.
It's okay. Yeah. Flames. So we'll want to talk about what we think might happen in La La Land because something's got to happen. But let's kick things off. There's some interesting news that happened today. Did you know that SGA, he's obviously leading the Thunder. They just swept the New Orleans Pelicans. You know, he had a baby. He had a son today. So congrats to SGA.
Oh,
did you know he had a new son, a new little baby?
Oh, his first son. I had heard that CJ McCollum, he was his daddy already. So that's it might be two sons now.
I mean, how many New Orleans Pelicans are there? He has many sons on that team, it seems like.
He has more kids, more sons than Sean Kemp. It's
that's tough to beat. Sean Kemp has a lot of children.
52, I think, all over the country, one for each state.
Oh, wow. He's definitely busy scoring during his time there. The Rain Man.
Top scorer in the league. Yeah, he might say.
I used to love Sean Kemp. Like Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. Payton throwing those half-court lobs, those alley-oops to Sean Kemp. That was really fun. And then they just, they moved that team out of Seattle. But there's always talk that they might return a team out there, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Seattle deserves it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. But the Pelicans were swept. CJ McCollum has a daddy. His name is SGA. SGA is a new father to many people, but it'll be interesting to see how far they go. That's a nice little young team they have there in Oklahoma City. But let's kick it over to our first topic today, which is the NFL draft. Like mentioned, there's a lot of interesting storylines coming out of the NFL draft. It was in Detroit. But, the draft is a time where a lot of teams are excited about their future and the awesome job that they did during the draft. And then you have the Atlanta Falcons, who were just head scratching, right?
Well, it's great, too, because it's not just the teams, it's their fans. Like, for fans, it doesn't matter how bad your team is. Like, the draft is supposed to be the one day you have hope. You're like, my team will not do something like draft a second quarterback when we don't need one. And then you have the Falcons.
Yeah. So for those who you don't know, the Falcons made a huge move in the offseason. They signed Kirk Cousins, who's on a good day. He's returning from injury, can be I'd say a top tier, not like the top tier, but upper 10 to 12 quarterback in the league. And they gave him like 180 million, 100 million guaranteed. So this guy is coming in to help signify that you're ready to win today. They have some young offensive weapons. And then you go burn a top 10 pick on another quarterback when you're trying to win now. So this guy is being drafted to sit on the bench for the next 3 or 4 years if all goes well, and you're just wasting a pick. I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Like, I know you just talked about it, but any specific thoughts on like what do you think that they were thinking?
It's just bizarre, and it's going to be so frustrating for Kirk Cousins. We talked about the other week how it's like an ex going to a new exciting situation, but now there's someone new in the picture. Cousins has to be pissed, and Penix is also one of the older rookies. In fact, we have to verify. I don't know if Penix might be older than Kirk Cousins. It's I don't know who the young one is there.
They said like by the time he starts in like 3 or 4 years, he'll be like 27 or 28. That's like not a young quarterback. Just for context, like I think Brock Purdy when he was starting, he was like 22, right? So
he's 24 now. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so I think there's like this obsession with quarterbacks. There were 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round, which I believe they said that was a record. And I think the 6th quarterback was taken before the 12th pick, right? So 6 of the first 12 to 13 picks were QBs. The first 15 players were all offensive players before the first defensive player was taken. What do you make of this obsession with reaching for quarterbacks and even some of them that were given like 2nd, 3rd round grades being selected top 15?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense from the standpoint that franchise quarterback is just the most important position in the league. Every team wants one, and people have kind of thought the optimal way to win is to have a quarterback on a rookie contract so you can fill out the rest of your roster. But what do you think? Does this open up a chance for maybe some GMs to go a different direction and like zag while the rest of the league is zigging, as they say?
Well, I feel like the Niners kind of followed that, but on accident, right?
We tried to do it on purpose, though, right?
Yeah.
We just blew that.
They blew it with the Trey Lance pick, but then they went and drafted Brock Purdy, luckily. And they now have like someone who, quote unquote, and we don't have to go down the rabbit hole because it's been talked about all last season, but someone who's not like the star stud on their team. They have their star skill players at every other position. And Purdy's just being groomed into this playmaker, essentially this point guard who's just dishing the ball to them is accurate. And all of the investment of salary and development goes into skill players, whereas a QB was kind of forgotten. And it looks like it could be effective, but not every team has a Shanahan, right? So,
No, I think the Niners also got lucky that he turned out to be
pretty 100%. Good. He's pretty good.
Just talk over my pun. I built that up. The moment was
say it again.
The Niners also got lucky that he turned out to be
pretty good. Yeah, got him. Okay.
You win.
The draft was interesting because I don't know if you saw some of the clips or watched some of it, Hawk, but there were, I guess they said 775,000 people that attended the draft. What do you make of the people who showed up and the amount of people who showed up there?
I think like 5 of them were from Detroit. That's more tourists than Detroit has had since I don't know, since Ford was like doing plant tours or something. I don't know, much funnier.
What I want to know is when they counted 775,000, was that the amount of people coming in or going out of Detroit? Just trying to get that guy running,
racing out of Detroit.
Yeah, wait here. Actually, I've never been to Detroit. Have you been to Detroit before? Is it a nice place?
I have. Mike actually went to business school up at University of Michigan, so they had the graduation, or at least this thing up in Detroit. It's actually a nicer city. It's fun to make jokes, but it's actually a beautiful city.
Yeah, we'll have to go out there and have people boo us and hate us. But, that's okay because they did choke against the Niners. So that's fun too.
Oh, cheers to that.
Yeah, there you go. Now, another thing that was interesting about the draft, and we can wrap it after this, is there were a ton of this was a super wide receiver rich draft, right? There were a lot of wideouts taken early, middle, late. What do you make of this in terms of the amount of receivers that are coming into the league? What's the fantasy impact going to be? With all of these playmakers coming into the league, do you think this is going to kind of dilute the wide receiver pool from a fantasy impact perspective? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know that it dilutes it because there's still only so many top options, right? I think what it might do though is we've got a lot of older guys who've been number 2, number 3 receivers. Not trying to pick on anyone, but guys like Adam Thielen who have just kind of hung around, and this might put a little bit more pressure on some of the veterans. We might kind of improve some of the secondary options. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Maybe this is just more emphasis on the league becoming more of a passing league. I mean, it's not going to fully tilt it in a way where the run goes away, obviously, but there's clearly an emphasis on wide receiver talent. I think the amount of individuals who are skilled coming into the league shows that there's going to be a lot of passing. There's going to be a lot of wide receiver production, and offenses are probably going to be able to support 2 wide receivers at a high level when maybe that wasn't the situation with fantasy in the past, right? It's like you wanted to grab the wide receiver 1 from a team and the wide receiver 2 was like a crapshoot. But now it's like almost every team that you can think of that has a strong offense, they're supporting 2 receivers, and even the wide receiver 3 sometimes can be like a plug and play for bye weeks and things like that, right? So I think that's how that's going to impact the fantasy landscape, and we'll see how that bears out in the drafts this coming summer. So it'll be interesting to see. On that note, though, let's talk about all the wide receiver drama, right? Because there's a ton of drama with wide receivers. I feel like out of all the positions, they're the divas. They're the ones. Yeah, they want all the respect, all the money. And those salaries that they're getting are going sky high. But there's Brandon Aiyuk asking to be traded. T. Higgins is asked to be traded. Amon-Ra and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith got deals, but they're now setting the market with these sky high salaries and contracts. What do you make of all this business?
It's crazy. I want to ask your opinion. I was thinking of trying the exact same thing at work. Do you think this would work for me? Can I put up cryptic Instagram posts? Can I subtweet my boss? Can I just not show up for a week and be like, I'm holding out? Would this work as well for me as it worked for some of these receivers?
Probably not, is my first guess. But we can, why don't we try it and see what happens? And then we can come back on and see if you're unemployed and seeking a new job. I don't know if it's quite the same, but
if you see me in a week, I've got a giant beard. It's because I've been unemployed for a week. And so,
yeah,
we'll know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens there. But on that note, like I mentioned, Aiyuk has asked to be traded, and it's something that someone of his stature, from a wide receiver perspective, is interesting, because anywhere he goes, he's going to turn that offense up a little bit, right? So what are some potential spots for him? What are the best fantasy spots that you can think of if Aiyuk were to be traded?
Well, I'll give you my number one. Why don't you give me your top one? I think for me, I'd love to see him on the Bills. I think with Josh Allen, I know they drafted a receiver, but they still don't have really a true number one. And so the idea of him in a spot where he would just be catching passes all levels of the field from Josh Allen, I think that could make him a top 5 receiver in my mind. How about you?
No, I love that spot. Yeah, with Josh Allen throwing that ball around, he would do some big things there. But I actually think the Chargers would be a great spot for him. I love Justin Herbert, and I know we talked about Justin Herbert in a previous episode. He just has no weapons now. I mean, he has Quentin Johnson from last year, who obviously was a disappointment. They did draft Ladd McConkey. I know I'm saying that wrong. I want to say Ladd McConkey. Hey, Ladd McConkey.
If you can't even pronounce his name, how much of an impact do you expect him to make in year one, right?
Ladd McConkey.
Don't make me do my English orphan accent. This is going to go off the rails really quickly.
Okay, do it saying Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey, can I show on your shoes for a tuppence?
Okay, so they have Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson. Aiyuk would be amazing out there. Herbert is slinging that rock. And I think that would make him an instant top 10 wide receiver.
Only top 10. Could he be top 5?
There's still going to be a run first offense, right? So he'd eat up a lot of targets, but that would be a run first offense. Maybe top 7. I don't know. We'll see. If that would happen, he would definitely shoot up the boards. But I have a question for you. Where would he have a higher ceiling then? if he got traded to the Chargers or the Bills?
I think the Bills. Partially the run first offense you're talking about, partially just Allen's arm. As much as I love Herbert, I think Allen, I just think it's a better, faster offense, better situation.
Yep. No, agreed. If there's a dark horse, though, that we haven't talked about, who would that be?
You know what? I kind of love, and this might be a little bit better for real NFL than fantasy, but maybe both. The Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh.
Last year, Gallup, Cooks were kind of alongside CD. He just took all the targets. He was getting double teamed, triple teamed. You put Aiyuk on the other side. Dak Prescott, I think they've always had a good offense. They still have a good offensive line. They could be one of those teams that just puts up, 30 points a game, and I think there's enough volume for both of them.
Yeah, no, and this is exactly what I was talking about, right? Like teams being able to support 2 wide receivers.
Yep.
CeeDee Lamb, his numbers would probably come down a little bit to support Aiyuk, and oh man, that would be crazy if they had those 2 out there.
Yep.
I personally, I don't think it happens. The Niners still have team control. Now Aiyuk can do some things to make it messy and leverage whatever power that he has, but he's still under contract, and I think they want him to stay. And I think he's just following the Debo playbook from a couple of seasons ago, trying to get the money that he can make. This is basically his opportunity to make his money and get the biggest contract that he can. So I don't fault him for that. I just think it's going to work out in the end. So we'll see what happens.
Niners are pushing for Super Bowl, right? This is not the time to get too cute.
Yeah, exactly. So let's hope they stay together for a happy ending. And speaking of happy endings, let's do pop culture. Let's talk movies.
I thought you were going somewhere very different with that.
No, not talking about what I think. You think I'm talking about? It's yes, exactly. Very family friendly. This is being broadcast on a Disney platform as well. But let's talk about my favorite, or what I should say, one of my favorite movie genres, because I just saw a movie within it recently, rom-coms. Like I said, I love rom-coms, and my wife, she knows this. She laughs. She's like, she thinks it's hilarious and loves that I love rom-coms. But I saw Anything But You on Netflix recently. Have you seen that one? Did you see that one yet?
No. I know what it's about. I'm going to be forced to watch it at some point.
You know what it's about because it's a rom-com. You don't have to know anything about the movie. You know what it's about. I bet you I can ask you.
Plot. Yeah.
Okay, really quick. Guess the top 3 main storylines, and I'll tell. And I know you haven't seen this yet, but tell me what you think it is, and I'll tell you how close you are to it.
Guy meets girl, they don't like each other. Guy and girl start to like each other, but there's an inflection point where there's a misunderstanding. Guy and girl ultimately make up at the end and get a relationship.
Damn, have you seen this movie?
Maybe I have. Maybe I did watch it.
No, honestly, you got it almost 100% correct. The only part you were off is they didn't know each other. They actually, it's not a plot. I'm not giving anything away. It's not a spoiler. They met long ago and get reunited. But everything else you said is pretty spot on. But
I apologize to our listeners because I just gave a spoiler alert for 98% of all rom-coms. So
yeah,
if I've ruined a genre for you.
That's true. But if anyone hasn't seen it yet, Anything But You, it's probably one of the trending movies on the top 10 list, I believe, starring Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. Sydney Sweeney is totally like the it girl right now. Like she's attractive. Like everyone likes her. She's not a very good actress. She's not very good. But she's riding that wave of popularity, and I think she should. Like she should cash in right now since she's super popular. And
on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is bad and 10 is my English orphan accent, where would you put Sydney Sweeney?
Sorry, is that a scale of 1 to 1?
No, 1 to 10. My accent
got
is top of the mark. I can do it again if you need to hear it.
I think she's just above the English accent that you have. Can you do it one more time?
Hello, Sweeney. Can I show your shoes for shiny tipping?
Okay, she's a lot better than you. Actually.
That's good. Good for her and her career.
Okay, so we'll say mediocre performance, but also starring Glenn Powell, who I guess he's in some other stuff. I just remember him in the recent Top Gun. What movie?
Top Gun 2, Maverick.
Yes, yeah. Top Gun 2. Yeah, exactly. He played, I forgot his exact name, but he played essentially the Iceman character, and
Hangman. Come on, man, you got to know these are like guy movies.
Hangman. I remember Iceman. I'm an Iceman guy. I liked Iceman. Like Hangman, just like. But Glenn Powell is. I know you haven't seen it yet, but he's got this squinty look. He's always like,
I
I'm
like
like,
Glen Powell, but I
what?
think that's every
Why
movie
is,
he's ever done. That's
why is he always? Why is he squint? Does he need glasses? Like, why is he? You just can't see from far away, or what? He's just so
so basically
squinty.
it's Hangman dates a girl when he gets a weekend off the base. Is what I'm hearing.
Pretty much, yeah. I thought it was okay. If you're into rom-coms, though, it's a must see. On that note, though, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Like, what is your favorite rom-com of all time? Right? And like,
Oh man.
there's some good ones. So while you think about that, and it could be this one or another one, there's so many. Some come to mind like Shallow Hal, Something About Mary. I love Shallow Hal. Serendipity.
Something about Mary a rom-com that just feels like a raunchy, irreverent, but
Something
okay.
About Mary is definitely a rom-com. It's romantic and it's a comedy.
A movie
Maybe
about
more
a man
calm,
and a zipper.
maybe calm than rom, but
Yeah.
Okay, so your favorite rom-com?
I know it's stupid, but I love it. Adam Sandler of all people, just go with it. Have you seen the one with him and Jennifer Aniston where they go to Hawaii? She's pretending to be his wife because he's trying, or ex-wife, because he's trying to impress his new girlfriend, and just as dumb as it sounds, but it's funny.
I don't think I've seen that one. Is
the
it?
little
That's your
girl-
top. That's your top one.
Well, yeah, you have to watch it. You can't judge it till you've watched
No,
it.
I mean it's like I've just like most of these rom-coms that are really amazing. Like everyone's seen, at least in the genre. I just haven't even, and maybe it's just me, but I don't even recall seeing it or hearing about it.
Maybe it's also when I watched most recently, but I liked it and I laughed at it, and it also has Dave Matthews from the Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Well, let me at least hear your runner-ups. Who are your runner-ups then?
Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh,
That one's always really funny.
really good.
10 Things I Hate About You.
That's based off of what's this the Shakespeare play?
Is it 12th Night? Or am I mixing up my Shakespeare plays?
Let's stick to sports. Dan. All right. You have to. Okay, thank you. I was like, are you gonna ask me about mine? Okay.
Yeah, no, you know way more on this subject than I do.
Yeah, my favorite. Okay, of all time, Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts, Richard Gere. It sounds kind of odd, but my sister made me watch it. Like, I feel like every weekend growing up, and I just fell in love with the movie. I could probably quote every single line from it. Jason Alexander, aka George, from Seinfeld's in there. Yes, Costanza.
My daddy meant it for a long time.
Can you say collab for me really quickly?
Collab. Is that what you wanted, or
I've heard you were talking the other day and you kept saying collab.
collab?
Yeah, you kind of said Costanza like that. Costanza. Anyway,
yeah,
Pretty Woman, amazing movie. My runner-up though is probably I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. I love that movie so much. The scene where the fire is singing, "I'm every woman" in the shower with the soap bar.
It's so stupid, but it's so funny, and
then they go to like Canada or something to be married by the very racist impersonation of the Asian race.
And that's our role play today.
No. It's Rob Schneider. You know those movies. You've seen it, right?
I've multiple times. It's yeah.
He talks about love. It's like it's not a circle. It's a square. It's not a circle. It's a square. Okay.
I think I gave the same speech at your wedding. It was beautiful.
It's not a circle. It's a square. All right. Okay. Tying this back to sports, though, please. What is the athlete version of a rom-com? The kind of faded story, back and forth. Like one thing I can think of that's recent is Zeke just re-signed with the Cowboys. Had a long relationship with them. Kind of ended unceremoniously. There was a younger player involved, Tony Pollard, who we'll never talk about again. We do not like Tony Pollard from a fantasy perspective. He's not allowed to. His name shall remain unspoken. Yep. But now Zeke's back. One kind of blah year in New England, and now he's back, and he's probably going to be like. They don't even have very many running backs. I don't even think they drafted one, did they?
No, they have a big story.
Rico Dowdle? Is he?
If Ming cannot pronounce the name, this guy is not going to be a threat.
Is cousin Rico or Uncle Rico? Is he the lead back there? Zeke is going to get some burn out there.
Yes, but is it going to be a happy ending, right? Because that's part of the rom-com, or is this like Miss Doubtfire?
I think he could have a decent season. I'm saying happy ending. But what's another potential team athlete rom-com story?
I'm glad you went first because I got to think about it. And I think the ultimate one, I'm going to go to a different sport, but LeBron James, right? Cleveland
LeBron
kid,
James
gets drafted by Cleveland, leaves, they're like burning his jerseys. It's bad. Comes back, like wins a championship in dramatic fashion. And like it's like the happy ending. That to me is like the most rom-com story in sports that I can think of.
I'm not a huge LeBron James fan, and I know you're not either. But I will say that is probably one of the more epic, like, basketball return to your hometown stories, right? Like that's what everyone kind of dreams of, to be honest.
You're also a Warriors fan, so I feel like the problem is the rom-com ending happened over like a bad ending for you. I'm trying to think. You're basically like the really nice husband who like meets the woman because the guy's being a jerk in these movies, and then like the guy gets better, and this other husband's done nothing wrong, just gets like kicked out of the picture.
What?
Don't like the Warriors. It was the Warriors, right?
No.
73-win team. You're doing everything right, and then you get like you lose your love of your life, the NBA championship, to LeBron.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've erased that from my memory. All right. Can we not talk about LeBron anymore? Or
no more LeBron.
Will we talk about LeBron a little bit more? A little teaser there.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
A little teaser. But speaking of teases, this brings us to our favorite part of the pod. It's time for role players. And this week, it was your turn, Chris, to come up with a role play. So why don't you share?
I got a fun one. So, Ming, your favorite, one of your favorite athletes of all time, in fact, I think. You get to play Orenthal James Simpson, who has now made his way to heaven.
Second favorite athlete. Sorry.
Behind Ray Caruth. So you get to play him and going up to the pearly gates, and I get to play St. Peter as you try to convince me that you should be let into heaven.
I'd like to say this is going to be difficult, but that's a real understatement. All right, let's do it. Are you ready?
Yeah, right. Let's go. You're walking. Start walking.
I'm walking. I'm OJ. I don't know how OJ walks, but I'm walking.
Not much anymore.
Hey, Peter.
Welcome, my child. What brings you to the gates of heaven today?
So hey there. I'm here to enter heaven.
All right. Well, let me look you up here. Looks like one Orenthal James Simpson, and you. Whoa.
What's the problem here, Peter?
You've done a few bad things. Let's start at the top. So number one, it looks like cardinal sin, maybe unforgivable. You went to USC. That's just immediate evil.
Peter, we can't all be perfect, can we? Am I right?
No, we can't all be Bruins, but USC, that's a tough one to get past. And then, okay, I need you to explain 1995 for me. It looks like some stuff happened here. Why don't you give your side of the story?
Yeah, 95 was kind of a blur. Did some crazy things. I was, hanging out with the wrong crowds, and there was something about a glove not fitting correctly, and I don't know, just some things happen. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes good kids get into trouble sometimes. You know what I'm saying, Peter? Am I right?
Yeah. Right. Boys be boys, girls be girls, people be people. But
yeah.
We did. OJ, did you do it? It's me, St. Peter. I mean, did you do it?
Do you want me to tell you?
I want you. Yeah, I want you to tell me. I want you to want to tell me. This is, like every girlfriend you've ever had. I want you to want to tell me.
Can I plead the fifth?
This is heaven. This is not the United States. We see everything. We already know the answer. We're just trying to see if you will lie to us.
I've actually been advised not to say anything about this until I have legal counsel present, actually, Peter. So if we can move this along.
Legal. Okay, well, so let's put it this way. You then said you were going to go look for the real killer. Did you find the real killer?
I mean, what is a killer? What it really is a killer? I had a killer sandwich the other day. It was fantastic. I think killer is got a bad rap.
That's some pretty interesting spin. I will just say I've been looking at the data here, and it looks like since you said you're going to look for the real killer, you spent 5 minutes looking for the real killer and 500 days playing golf. Does that really seem like you were looking for the real killer?
I was very stressed from those 5 minutes. I needed to calm my nerves, and I needed to prepare myself for this conversation with you. So, I was prioritizing my life and what it needed to happen. I was trying to move forward, Peter. I was feeling down, and I don't know what else to say. I spent 5 minutes. What else do you expect from me?
More than most. Okay, well, last question. Can you just, at least, you want to get in, tell me one good thing you did towards it? Like, give me one good thing, one reason we should let you in.
I was really nice to the other inmates when I went to prison for committing my additional crimes. That's not additional. My first crimes.
You did
really
not
good.
kill.
Really good. Sorry.
You did not kill the other inmates. I will give you that. You did not kill once you were in prison. I guess that's something.
Is this going to be a long wait?
You're going to be. Why don't you take a seat? I think you're going to be waiting for. I'll call you when it's your turn.
I guess the juice is not loose.
The juice is not loose.
All right. How did OJ do? Did OJ get in? What do you think happened?
I think he's going to be waiting for a while. I think he's at least purgatory for a while, if not worse. Poor man. I don't know if you heard. He supposedly died of cancer, but they're not sure. They're still looking for the real killer.
I don't know if it was the joke or your delivery.
Would it help if I did in the English accent again?
Yeah, try it.
Well, they said he died with a cancer, Governor, but they're still looking for the real killer.
Okay.
Sydney Sweeney, you watch out. I am going to be in the next rom-com.
Yeah, anything but you. Literally anything but you. That's what
anyone but you. Yeah,
yeah, anyone but you. Yeah, that's right. Or anything. All right, let's move this. Let's move this forward. Let's do some quick hitters here. Let's go back and forth and discuss the NBA playoffs. There actually was some wild games tonight. Let's talk about playoff series predictions and who we think may actually make it to the conference finals. Really quickly, Knicks 76ers, who you got?
I got the Knicks still. I don't think Embiid's fully healthy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Celtics, Heat.
Celtics, yeah, easy
one. Celtics, yeah, Heat are deteriorating there. Cavs, Magic. A little interesting.
This will be a close one. I still like the Cavs. I think they're a little more veteran. I think the Magic are a year away.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I think the Magic are like one piece, maybe Klay Thompson, away and a little bit more seasoned. I think next year they'll make some real noise. Bucks, Pacers. This one's kind of falling flat. Who do you think is gonna come out of there?
We talked about this a little bit the other day. I had the Pacers even before the last one and Lillard went out. And I'm sticking with the Pacers.
Yeah, no, I think the Pacers are gonna come out. Okay, let's move to the West. Nuggets, Lakers. This one's already done.
Yeah. I just do want to say, when we had just chatted about this the other day, I picked all three of these correctly a couple games ago. So we got
when they're up 3-0. Yeah, that's a hot take. Okay, you got it. Okay, Wolves, Suns. This one's done as well. Wolves sweep. I'm assuming you picked the Wolves.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm that
smart. Thunder, Pelicans. Thunder. Another sweep. Yeah. Thunder. Okay, Mavs, Clippers. It's 2-2. This one's like probably the most interesting series thus far.
This is a coin flip to me, but I'm going the Mavs. I just like the way that Luke and Kyrie are playing. Harden obviously went off the other night, but I just think that the Mavericks have the right pieces. PJ Washington, Grant Williams, I think they improved a lot at the deadline. I'm going to say that they get past the Clippers this year. The
Clippers, I feel like their ceiling is pretty high. Like they can be really good, especially defensively. But with Kawhi going in and out of the lineup, and I don't know if he's obviously not 100%, but no. I think in the past he's been able to sit out and step in and play decently well. It's almost like he's used to like the load management, and now he's having a little trouble doing that. And, maybe the injuries, he's playing a little balkier right now. I don't know. It's tough to call, but I actually think the Clippers will come out of this. I think they played really well. They did give up what was like a 31-point lead, which is crazy to say, but they still pulled it out. Would have been
the biggest blown playoff lead of all time.
Yeah,
Mavs had held on.
That's insane. Okay, so why don't you give us a call on who you think is making the Western Conference Finals, and I'll do the East.
I'm going to take the Nuggets against Shea and his 4 sons with the Thunder.
Okay. Easy call, probably. Probably the top 2 teams in the West. And who do you think is going to come out of the West?
I'll take the Nuggets. I do think the Nuggets make it this year. I think the Thunder still, like the Magic, 1 year away.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good call. In the East, I think it's definitely Boston. I think they've got a good path to making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I hate the other side of the bracket. I think it's going to be kind of like a war of attrition, like who's the least suckiest coming out of that side of the Eastern Conference bracket. And I think it's going to be New York, led by Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo. So I think it's Boston coming out of the East by a landslide. So it looks like we're going to see a Nuggets-Boston finals. You agree with that?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'd be excited for that series.
Yeah, we'll see. That'll be awesome to watch. So the playoffs have been semi-entertaining. The first round is always like entertaining or a sweep. We're getting a mix of that. So we'll see what happens in the next round. Next, quick hitter. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. That fight's coming up on July 20th. You've got 58-year-old Tyson against the 27-year-old Jake Paul. Who do you think is going to win that bout, that matchup of the ages?
Tyson.
Literally.
Boom.
Tyson? Okay. I got Jake Paul. And I hate Jake Paul, but I think Jake Paul is savvy and smart. He's 30 years younger than Tyson. He always sets up his fights where the competition is set up to lose. Like, he's smart, he's savvy. He's not gonna set up a fight that he can't win, and he's not sure he's gonna win. And it's always some name that looks better on paper than in real life. And I think Jake Paul's just gonna win, or something's gonna be rigged for him to win. And it's just BS. And I'm kind of annoyed that I'll probably end up watching it, and then I'll get more annoyed after watching it. I mean? It's like one of those things you're like, I hate that I'm watching this right now.
Well, you hate Jake Paul. I just want to go on the record saying I love Mike Tyson. Mike, if you're listening, I love you. Please don't track me down.
Hey, don't worry about it, man. I'm gonna beat Jake Paul.
Mickey Mouse back in the studio.
Don't worry, I'm Iron Mike Tyson. I'm gonna mess that dude up. Okay, anyway.
Mike, DM me. I'll send you his address.
All right, we're gonna wrap things by doing a hot take. And I know, Chris, you're going to love this one, so I'll let you take this one. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We teased the Lakers, the fact that they got swept. Something has got to give. The Lakers don't like standing pat. They don't have what it takes to go very far, obviously. They're not very young. Why don't you give me your hot take on what you think is going to happen to them this offseason?
I think it starts to come apart. I think LeBron's going to leave as the big one. Darvin Ham, good chance he gets fired. Well, look, LeBron has said he wants to play with his son. Bronny James is going to be in the draft this year. And I do think wherever he goes, LeBron's getting older. I think LeBron will try to go play with his son for a couple of years. He's accomplished everything else he needs to. Lakers will try to rebuild. And they've got some smart people in the front office there. But it's going to be a challenge for them.
It's insane. Like, LeBron leaving. So where, okay. Can you name like one place you think he might go?
I mean, I think he goes where his son goes. And it's hard because any team could draft his son, right? This isn't the normal, like, what are the 2 or 3 teams he would sign with as a free agent? I think the team that gets his son, he will go that direction, which makes it interesting because it means the team might reach for, like, Bronny was a prospect, he's had some issues this year, but a team might reach for him as more of a LeBron James lottery ticket.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. Does this mean like the unraveling of the Lakers for at least a year or so?
I don't think they can replace LeBron. I love AD, right? He's a great player, but you're just not going to get someone who can step in his shoes. They've given up so many assets. There's just not an easy path to turn around in one season.
They always find a way to retool, though. Annoyingly, they find a way to retool.
They sign another superstar. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we'll see. It'll just make you more annoyed.
That'll make me angry. That'll just make me. We'll have a whole 40-minute podcast on that.
And that is not a happy ending. So that's probably a good time to wrap things. Awesome episode, Chris. We'll have to see how OJ is doing. Maybe we'll check in on him in a little bit, but hopefully he's not still in the waiting room up there. Next episode, we'll talk about the early ADP reactions we have from a fantasy perspective. We'll take a look and see at where players are landing, where we think they should be landing, some overreactions, and maybe some potential sleepers. And maybe we'll have another exciting role play to dive into our favorite segment.
More dead people exclusively. That's the only thing we do in role plays now.
Probably should stay away from that. All right. Well, why don't you let everyone know how they can follow us along and stay connected to us?
If you haven't already, subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're on. Hit the subscribe button to the podcast. Go register, smashupsports.com. A lot of new exciting games we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. Make sure register, sign up for emails so you get in the games early to play. And then, of course, you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, etc. At SmashUp Sports. All the links down below. Go sign up today.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Super Smash Bros. Out.
I'm a Wario.
It's a me.